We often think of the priestesses of the Frostmoon Scions as symbols of purity, serenity, and grace. But what if their legacy was built on cannibalism and murder? Today, we're talking about Aila, the first Moonchanter of the Frostmoon Scions. The girl who became a monster so her people wouldn't have to remain one. Aila lived roughly 500 years ago on Hisi Island, born into the Frostmoon Scions alongside her older twin sister, Aila. The two belonged to what was known as a lesser branch of the sacred bloodline. This branch existed only because the woman originally destined to bear the heir of Elysium abandoned the order and died, leaving Aila and Aila as flawed replacements, imperfect vessels for a faith obsessed with lineage. They were raised in extreme isolation by their grandmother, Lovia, the last archpriestess of the Old Order. Lovia believed that the twins could purify their bloodline by slaughtering other scions and drinking their blood. Ritual cannibalism intended to forcibly restore the Order's fading divine connection. This wasn't symbolic. It wasn't metaphorical. It was brutal, deliberate violence masquerading as faith. Lovia's vision was essentially eugenics enforced through bloodshed, and Aila was the one forced to carry it out. The cruelty scarred both sisters, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Yet Lovia saw this suffering as necessary. In her eyes, only someone broken enough could truly see the truth of the moon. Aila couldn't endure it. She fled, leaving Aila behind to bear the rituals alone. But unlike Lovia, whose belief system was rooted in obedience and blood, Aila possessed something rare, the ability to see across time. Not vague prophetic dreams, but vivid, lucid visions of both past and future. She could witness events as though she were standing there herself. Among these visions was the birth of a divine being, later known as Kutar, the Moon Maiden who would reshape the Frostmoon Scions' faith. This was a truth Lovia either could not see or refused to. Because of this gift, Aila was never content to blindly obey the rites forced upon her. Everything changed when a wandering hero named Solove arrived on Hisi Island. Lovia branded him a murderous outsider and attempted to manipulate Aila into killing him. But Solove did something Lovia never did. He told Aila the truth. He revealed how twisted the old practices were, exposing the lies behind the rituals, the murders, and the blood she had been forced to consume in the name of purity. Confronted with the full weight of her actions and her grandmother's corruption, Aila made a horrifying choice. She killed Lovia, not as worship, not as sacrifice, but as liberation. This moment marked the first true rupture in Frostmoon Scion history, the break between blind ritual and conscious reform. After Lovia's death, Aila assumed leadership, but she rejected the title of archpriestess. Instead, she became something entirely new, the first Moonchanter. The title itself symbolized change, not a ruler enforcing divine will, but a visionary who interpreted it. And she rewrote everything. First, she abolished the old Hyperborean rites entirely. The blood purification rituals and the Sacred Air Project were ended forever. They were not just cruel, they were spiritually empty, disconnected from the moon's true nature. Second, she rewrote the prayers and hymns. Many of the hymns of the far north were simplified or altered to focus on moonlight, guidance, and protection, rather than blood, lineage, and exclusion. These revised hymns became the foundation of Frostmoon worship, replacing verses tied to suffering with ones rooted in peace. Third, she erased Lovia from official history. Only high-ranking priestesses were allowed to know her name, and even then only as a warning. This wasn't denial, it was containment. Aila understood that some truths, if left unguarded, would poison future generations. Finally, she sealed the court of the First Edict, an ancient sanctuary containing records of Lovia's abuses and the failed sacred air experiments. Aila buried it so deeply that centuries later, it remained sealed until the Traveler and Verna uncovered it themselves. Her reforms weren't temporary, they were absolute. With the old rites destroyed and the faith rebuilt, the Frostmoon Scions transformed. They ceased to be a secretive, violent cult and became a peaceful community devoted to the moon's guidance rather than bloodline supremacy. Their brutal past became a sealed chapter, not their foundation. Aila foresaw the rise of Kutar, the Moon Maiden. In her honor, she offered a single drop of silver blood, not as consumption, not as sacrifice, but as symbolism, a quiet acknowledgement of divinity and a new beginning. From that moment on, the Frostmoon Scions worshipped Kutar as the successor to the Frost Moon. Statues of the Moon Maiden spread across Nod-Krai, marking a final theological shift from blood-soaked Hyperborean rites to devotion under moonlight alone. Aila didn't just reform a religion, she saved it from devouring itself. Her legacy endured because it was built on compassion, lived truth, and choice, not fear. Even today, the Frostmoon Scions follow her hymns, avoid needless conflict, and worship beneath the moon's light. Aila bled so her people wouldn't have to, and then made sure they would never forget what that blood once meant.